Hey guys, Melissa here. In this video, since Halloween is coming, I'm going to show you how to make this cute little skull woven pendant. So just stay tuned and I'll show you how. Alright, to start off making this pendant, I've got my little skull here. I'm going to put him to the side because you won't need him for a while. I'm going to use 20 gauge. I'm going to cut off 3 lengths of at least like 15 inches so I have plenty to work with. You need lots of wire to do the fancy swirls at the end. So I grab 3 lengths of 15. Try to get the kinks out of these at least. Okay, so my wire has a natural curve in it, which is fine. I'm going to end up curving it more anyway, so I'm going to leave it curved. And I want to do my weaving in the center of the wires. And I want to weave about 4 inches. So I'm going to kind of guesstimate here. I think I want to start weaving around this area. You can always adjust your weave later, kind of shift it around, but I'm going to use my clamp here. The link for this will be down in the description. These clamps are really helpful to hold on to the wire so I don't have to. I'm going to weave with some 28 gauge here. I'll just show you real quick. So I have a coiling gizmo attached to my table. Holds on to my spool, so either that, it's going to sit in my lap. I tends to fall on the floor and stuff. So the coiling gizmo is helpful to hold on to my spool. So my 26 gauge is coming up from under the table. So I'm just going to get my weave started on this bottom wire. I'll wind that around about 3 or 4 times. And the weave I'm going to do here is I go over the bottom 2 wires twice and then the top 2 wires. Oops. Two on the bottom, twice around, 2 on the top, twice around. And then come up and do 2 on the top. Bring it back down and do 2 on the bottom. And just keep repeating. Kind of keep it straight. Don't let your wires kink. I did this with the end of my wires here because they're kind of long and hard to manage. So I curled this one up a little bit and the bottom one down a little bit to hopefully manage my weave a little better. So I'm going to keep weaving, and I'll meet you back here when I got my 4 inches done. So I want it in the center, approximately in the center. 5 inches on that side, a little over 6 inches on that side. So I'm just gonna, when I condense my weave, I'm just gonna push it down towards this way a little bit, kind of even it out. Okay, so now I want to shape my weave into a nice teardrop shape. Kind of shape your wires into a nice pendant shape. It just takes some squeezing and bending until you get the shape you want and get all the kinks out. Make sure your weave stays nice and tight. So now where these wires cross at the top, you're gonna bend them straight upward, and they're gonna lay parallel to each other. So I'm gonna kind of do one by one. It's just easier that way. Keep pushing your weave down tight. All right, so got all my wires facing straight upward together. I'm gonna start weaving the bail, but I'm not gonna weave all 6 of them. I'm just gonna weave 4. But I'm gonna take these outermost wires out of the picture, because these guys are gonna come down and create some swirls down below here. Take those out of the picture. I want to do a weave incorporating 4 wires. So basically I'm going to be weaving a 4-wire corset type weave, but for the most part my wires will be close together. If you were to make a bail in a V shape, this would be a great one to use because it'll have that figure 8 corset weave. But let me get started here. I'm going to anchor on the wire closest to me here. Just put a few wraps on it. And push my original weave down a bit. So we're gonna treat these as 2 pairs of wires. So the weave goes 1 wrap around the outer wire. You're gonna wrap around both wires, and then you're gonna come up between them and wrap around the inner wire. You squeeze your pendant together where you want it. You're gonna go underneath the other pair of wires, wrap once around the outer wire, around both the wires, come up between them, so you come up between them, go over the inner wire in between the 2 pairs, and go underneath the other side. clear across, up and over the outer wire, up over both wires, up in between, up and over the inner wire and behind the other two wires, up and over that outer wire, up and over both wires, up in between the one, and then back behind again. Up and over the outer wire, up and over both wires, up and over the inner wire and back behind to the other side. Up and over the outer wire, up and over both wires, up and over the inner wire, behind to the other side. Let me snip this end guy here. He's starting to get pokey. Up and over one, up and over both, in between, up and over the middle, and behind. I'm going to keep going with my weave until I get to my desired length I want my bail to be, which would be, it's not going to be too long. I want to bend it over and then I want to start swirling again. Measure this out, maybe about an inch. That shouldn't take too long. Okay, I think this is far enough. So I'm gonna come over on this side and I'm gonna tie it off on one wire about 3 times. Let's bend this bail to the front. Just like that. And now we get to sculpt and swirl, this is the fun part. Separate these guys off one by one. They're gonna pair off together. So at this point you can do whatever you want, or you can do what I'm doing. I try to keep both sides symmetrical, so I'll do a little component on one side and I'll do the same thing on the other side. So if you know how to make a twirl with your fingertips, kind of keep both wires straightened together. Do that to one side. And do it to the other side as well. Kind of in the same spot and the same size if possible. Which can get a little difficult to get them totally symmetrical. Let's pull these up a little bit and work on these outer ones. And kind of bring them towards the inside. I'm going to use these wires these outer wires, bring them towards the inside, and I'm going to use these to hold my bead. I'm gonna make some swirls with these guys too. Make another swirl over. Ooh, be careful not to kink your wire. Another swirl over on the side. All right, I'm gonna anchor it around the frame down in this area. There. So I got these guys anchored on the frame symmetrically. Make some small twirls to finish this off. And cut that one short. Cut them equally short. Grab some round nose pliers. And make a swirl. That looks pretty good. Then I'll dangle my little skull guy in the center. But first I think I want to take care of these guys. Like I said, you can do whatever you want. What I'm gonna do, gently curve these guys. It's pretty much wherever your wire takes you, you know. Your wire wants to go over here, you do that. If it wants to go somewhere else, it's just getting both sides to do the same thing. Kind of sneak them behind this design and around the back. Like this. Kind of looks like a bug. Yeah. Okay, so at this point I'm just going to make swirls. Cut off my ends at a reasonable length, to a reasonable length. This might be too small, or too long still, so let me start twirling and see where we're at. Might need to cut more off. That one looks all right. That looks pretty cool. Cool, frame's pretty much done. Just gonna smoosh everybody down, make everybody stable. Just need to attach our little guy. I want to use wire that I can fit through there twice. I try 22 gauge at about 6 inches. Give this a try. Cool. Looks like we're in business. Just kind of wrap that towards the back. Let's see, should we put a bead on its head? So this roundel was about the only thing I can find that would that I could fit the 2 wires through. So now just kind of find a good spot to anchor. So of course, guys, I'm just using a skull bead because Halloween's coming. Halloween's my favorite holiday, but of course you can use whatever bead you want. Gemstone beads, crystal beads, briolettes, anything. Those sideways top drilled beads would be the best. But beads like this are fun too. Find a good spot where the bead looks good and anchor it down. Nice secure 3 wraps would be good. I'm wrapping mine downwards. You can wrap them upwards or whatever looks good with your pendant. Just make sure to remember to do the same on each side. And try to be gentle. Keep things symmetrical, but try not to pull things out of whack. You won't be symmetrical at all. There's the skull pendant. I think this guy has earned some oxidizing, so I'm going to go ahead and do that, and I'll be back in a little bit to show you how it turned out. All right, so this is how it turned out. I oxidized it in some liver of sulfur. I left it in there until it turned completely black, and then I went back and I used steel wool, very fine steel wool on it, and then all I did was wash it, and all I did was wash it with soap and water, and this is how it came out. What do you think? This is a variation of that design. Here I used a olive green Swarovski briolette, which I'm sure you can't get anymore. I'm not sure about that, but that's an idea for a regular bead. Okay, so that's it for me, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked this video, hit the like button if you did. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next video.